Hello friends, welcome back to my channel again. Today it's the time of the year again where I reflect upon all the books that I've read for the past 3 months. So let's see what are all the books that I've read from January to March. This year started with a bang for me in the reading aspect. I read most of the intimidating books on my shelf, and I owe it to some of my friends who encouraged me to read it as a buddy read. So I finished some chunkiest book of all time in my shelves, and also I kind of stumbled upon a lot of middle grade books. I found myself fallen into a rabbit hole where I kept on reading middle grade after middle grade, and everything was superb. No middle grade just put me down. So it kept my reading momentum going. And we have today almost 16 to 17 books, if I'm not wrong, to talk to you about. So let's start off with the middle grade books that I read this year. And there are five of them. And let's see one by one. The first book that I want to talk to you about is the one that led me to all this rabbit hole of multiple middle grade books. And that book is The Incorrigible Children of Ashton Place. The Mysterious Howling is the first book in that series, and it is written by Mary Rosewood. So this story is more or less like Jane Eyre. So we follow a governess who is called Penelope Lumley, and she is 15 years old, and she is sent to this Ashton Place to take care of three children who have been found in the forest, who have been raised by wolves. So they don't know anything about humanity or anything about human society, their manner or their behavior. It's a Himalayan task for Penelope to teach them basic manners and make them presentable before a societal ball. And this is all about it. It has a tinge of mystery to it. It flows like river. I read it in a single sitting and I loved it so much. It is a 5-star read for me. The next book is called The Snow and Rose. It's by Emily Winfield Martin, and this book follows the title says, it follows the Snow and Rose, and it's kind of a retelling of Snow White and Little Red Riding Hood. And they both are sisters, and one day their father goes into the forest for hunting, and he's kind of missing, and they have to leave the palace because of it. And they have to go into the woods and live in a cottage, and it all happens in winter time, and it's about their adventure every day, what they do and what they find out in the woods. It's all about, and they're also trying to find out where their father went. And this felt more like a good night story for me. Like you cannot read it at a stretch like the Ashton Place. This was breaking in between. Every chapter is a kind of an adventure by these two sisters. So I felt like this would be perfect to read before bed. Just one chapter before bed would be like reading it to your children or reading it for yourself to sleep. It was more like that. It's not binge worthy, but it is really a nice story, and the atmosphere, the illustrations are all top notch, and I loved reading it. The next one is the most recent one that I finished. It's called The Caterpillar Summer by Gillian McDunn, and this book follows Caterpillar and Chicken. These are the names of the siblings, and I think they are called something else, Catherine and Henry, I think. But their nicknames are Caterpillar and Chicken, and this is about Caterpillar's summer. One day, she has found herself to be spending her vacation with her grandparents, whom she has never met, and their father has recently died of cancer, and she has to constantly take care of her little brother, uh, because mom is always busy making money and she's an illustrator for children's books, something like that. So she is way more grown up for her age. She has never felt what it feels like to be a child, and she is constantly thinking about her brother and his safety and his well being. And accidentally, when they go to their grandparents' home, that is in an island, and that setting is completely summery and it's really very good. She gets for the first time to realize what it's feeling like to be a kid, to allow herself to be childish and allow herself to do things that children do, not just taking care of their little brother. That concept itself was really very well put in that. And oh my god, what not I would sacrifice to have a vacation in an island like that with grandparents who take care of everything, including cookies, food, and everything. And she has a library there. She enters into a fishing contest. She makes new friends. She learns new skills. It's all wonderful. This is the best vacation I had in years, I should say. I loved this book, and this is also a 5-star read for me. The next one I read, I found out in a whim. I did not search for it. I should say that I stumbled upon it on the internet and immediately felt a connection between the kind of illustration and the kind of vibe that book was giving out. And I was trying to look out for some books that had similar vibes like Incorrigible Children of Ashton Place. And that's how I stumbled upon this one. And it is called The Withering by Sea by Judith Rosell. And this story follows Stella Montgomery, and this book is a trilogy, and it's every book is called Stella Montgomery Intrigue. And this the first one we get introduced to this character, and like all the other middle grade books, her parents are also dead, and she's living with her aunts. Very, off-putting aunts. They always control her and they always belittle her. So she's not very happy kid with those aunts. But she finds herself to be in a safe space when she reads, when she collects things, when she learns by herself and everything. They are staying in a hotel, and that is in London, and it is set in winter again. She's getting dragged into a mystery she never intended to involve herself in. She sees a man getting killed and hiding a parcel in a hiding place. So she takes the parcel and keeps it with her. So the mystery also follows her, and things get very weird after that. She learns a lot of stuff about herself, about their parents, and also she makes a friend. It is all very good, and you should see the illustrations. Some of the illustrations here are, look at this. Isn't it so beautiful? I don't know for what reason the entire book is in blue ink rather than black ink, and almost every other page has an illustration in it. Even if it is small, it has illustrations. I just adored my time with this book, and I felt like this was written for me, and I cannot wait to read the other two Stella Montgomery intrigues. So the last middle grade book I want to talk to you about has a kind of a story behind it, because this is the first time I saw this title or this author. I have never heard of this book before. But when I went to the bookstores the other day and saw this book, I felt like it spoke to me, and I immediately bought it, and I was kind of very intrigued in reading it. I kept reading it immediately after buying it, and we had to go to the Interstellar movie after that. And in that movie, I realized that the Cooper's son, his daughter-in-law, is named after this author. And also in the last final Tesseract scene, there is a library. If you have watched that movie, you would know. There's a library in 5D, and he sees a lot of books, but only one book is prominent in that scene, and that is this book. And that book is The Willoughbys by Lois Lowry. So you must have guessed that how weird and nice and everything. I was having mixed feeling after having this experience, and it was really very nice, to know that Christopher Nolan also reads middle grade. If you are looking for an reason to read middle grades, this should be it. Christopher Nolan reads middle grade, so you have to read middle grade. There's no excuse for you anymore. This book in as itself is very good because it follows Willoughby family, and there are a lot of children in that family, and the two parents are very neglectful and they always think about themselves. So these kids are making their own way in the world, and they're doing a lot of stuff that are really very over the top, and they make their own way in the world, and they create their own family at the end, and it's all very good. It's very short, fairly short, and I think you will love it if you pick it up. It was really good, and it makes me really feel good that I read something that Christopher Nolan has read. And one more thing, if you know why Nolan has kept this particular book in that short, do let me know in the comments, because I would love to know. I have a wild guess, but if I say, it will be a very spoilery thing. So do let me know in the comments so I can know, and we can discuss this about in the comment section. Now that we have seen all the middle grade books that I read, let's move on to the other sections, which are all mostly fantasy and adult fiction. And let's talk about the two intimidating books on my TBR that have more than 800 pages. And the first book in that category is The Priory of Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This book, I read it as a buddy read with my friend, and she literally helped me pull through the entire journey. Otherwise, I would not have read it. And it was there in my TBR and in my shelves for roughly 3 to 4 years, I think. It's not that the book is bad. I loved it. Once I read it, I came to know that the book is so good. The intricate plot points and the romance between Ede and Sebran and everything was so good. But I kind of was put off by the mere size of the book. I don't know if you can appreciate the size here. And by the way, I have added chapter summary in every chapter. I have added it, and that's how I keep up with the plot points, and I remember the characters, and that's how I follow the story, because I read it over a long period of time. And this book I highly recommend. I think I recommended this one in my chunky books recommendation. This was really good, and this was the first book that I read in 2025, and that was a really great start. And I absolutely loved everything about this book, be it the fantasy part, be it the character development part and be it the pacing of the story. Everything was so good. It's a very well made world building for a fantasy, and I really like it. I want to check out the prequel of this book called The Fallen into the Night, Dragon Fallen into the Night, something like that. There is a prequel to this book, and I'll pop the image somewhere here for you to know. And I want to read that, but before that, I do want to read all the other books that are in my TBR. So probably it's going to take a while, maybe not this year. So when I talk about the next book of this list, I'm going to disappoint a lot of people. I am very sure of it, but this is my humble opinion. I want to talk about Sarah J. Maas Crescent City series, and this is the third book in that series. It's called The House of Flame and Shadow, and I don't know where to begin. First of all, from the first book, it was a little bit not connectable for me because the author's style of writing is a little bit difficult to follow for me particularly. Like two characters will be conversing and one character's dialogue will come and then she will write what is going on in their mind. And again, another character's dialogue will come and then what is going on in their mind. It is not like a volley of dialogues. It is constantly broken by description of the things that are going in the character's mind. I felt that is very off-putting, but nonetheless, I pulled through the first book. I absolutely loved it. I have no regrets of reading it. But the second and the third book was kind of a disappointment. Second book was the most disappointing one. At least in the third book, she tried something. She tried to bring the Coat of Thorn and Roses characters into it. And I think there are characters from Throne of Glass also. Because I have not read it, I don't know who the characters are, but I think she's trying to bring out a universe of characters where she can write different books about. It's a wholesome and a wonderful concept, but it is not working out for me. The first 200 pages of this book was mind-blowing. It was action-packed, fast and everything, and it had so many new characters involved in here, like from Coat of Thorn and Roses. It was really, really like it made me sit upright and wow, there's something more to come. That was the feeling it gave in the first 200 pages. And the rest of the 700 pages, it was literally nothing and nothing much happened in it. And to suffer through the rest of the pages was really painful. And I personally think that I am much older and much mature for the kind of stories and the kind of books that she writes, Sarah J. Maas writes, because there is a whole kingdom of fans for her, but I don't think I'm the intended audience for these kind of books. So I'm going to stop here. My Sarah J. Maas journey stops here. I do have 3 more books from Coat of Thorn and Roses which I bought, so I will probably read it at some point of the time in my life because I bought it and I have it in my possession and they're all pretty. So maybe sometime. But I'm not going to buy any more Sarah J. Maas books, and it is nothing against the author, but it's just not for me. Now let's talk about some really good cozy fantasies that I read. The first one that I read was the Brandon Sanderson's Tress of Emerald Sea. This was really such a fun read. It had a lot of vivid characters and very quirky characterizations and magic system. It was really all very good. I felt like I took an adventure myself with Tress. The story actually follows Tress and her friend and her childhood friend, her love of her life, Charlie, has been kidnapped by kind of a witch in the sea, and she has to go and rescue him. This is the storyline, and whatever happens in between this is really, really good. And the kind of writing that the author has for this particular book was very quirky. Let me tell you a opening line of this book which I really loved, and that made me read the entire story without any break. In the middle of the ocean, there was a girl who lived upon a rock. This was not an ocean like the one you have imagined, nor was the rock like the one you have imagined. The girl, however, might be as you imagined, assuming you imagined her thoughtful, soft-spoken, and overly fond of collecting cups. This was very, very sweet and very, very interesting for me. This is the entire style of this book. And if you are intimidated to read this book and you were thinking to pick it up, this is your sign. Please pick it up. It's really, really wonderful, and I had a wonderful time with this. The next book is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I'm so happy that I am getting rid of all the books that were in my physical TBR for quite a long time. I bought this last year, I think, and finally I read it, and I'm happy that I did it. This book and The Secret Society of Irregular Witches were, I think, released together. They were mostly compared to each other. So I'll do the same, and I read that book last year and I literally loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This was also cozy, and this was also everything you would need in a fantasy. but it was falling short in some places. But this is a really decent read. First of all, the book follows Viv, and she is kind of a professional hitman or mercenary something, and she want to leave her action-packed adventure life back, and she want to come to a small town, open a coffee shop. And these small hiccups that comes up when you try to open a coffee shop in an unknown land, in a new place, is all this book is about. She makes new friend, it has found family, all these stuffs are there. It's really good. But I felt like the high fantasy part of this book was mostly unnecessary. It would have been really good if it was a plain story of normal people. I would have much loved it more. But nonetheless, the story was really good, and I'm happy that I read it finally. Sometimes in life, you just stumble upon something really profound, and that gets attached to yourself and becomes a part of you. This particular book was like that for me, and I had no intention of picking it up, but I randomly picked it up, and this has become a part of me now. And the book is The Gentleman from the Peru by Andre Aciman. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. So this story follows a group of friends who are on the way on their vacation, and their ferry boat is broken. So they have to stay in a particular hotel in off coast of Italy, and they meet a man who is kind of intimidating and kind of interesting for them, and they speak about the man, and one day they befriend them, and the kind of conversation they have with the man is breaking everyone's life loose, and it's really good. It's This book will take an unexpected turn at some point of this book, and it will really blow your mind. This was the best book that I read in this year. I really loved it. This gave me the man from the earth kind of vibe. If you have watched that movie, you will understand what I'm talking about. This is really good. It's fairly short. Please do pick it up. Do yourself a favor. Read this. I think you will thoroughly enjoy it. Another short book that I read from one of my favorite author, and she is Susanna Clarke, and the book is At the Midwinter. So this story is kind of a metaphorical story. I did not understand it much until I finished it, and there was extra chapters at the end of it to make us understand what she has written it about. But the process of reading itself was really very good, because it had so much of illustrations, and these illustrations entirely take up a page, and there are only few words for the story in this book. And this was really good to just look at it, to feel and everything. This is once again a Christmas rich wintry story, so I think it's best read in December, but go for it if you are interested in it. One more teeny tiny book that I read this year is a non-fiction book called The Hero by Lee Child. This book explores the concept of hero in various departments like science, philosophy, history, and such, and what it means to be called the hero, what makes a hero, and there are a lot of stuffs that are discussed here. It's very short, and it's going to take around 15 to 20 minutes of your time. So if you are interested in something that you can read in a whim, then go for it. This was pretty decent read for me. I loved it, and this is the first time I'm reading this author, so maybe I should check out his detective spy kind of Lee Child Jack Reacher novels. The next book is a murder mystery book, and it's supposed to be cozy. I can say it's cozy murder mystery, and the book is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And the concept of this book was really something. I really loved the concept, because it is following a group of people who are in the retirement homes, and they form a murder club to meet up every Thursday and try to solve cold cases that are not solved yet. And it follows four people, and I think there are three murders in this book, and they try to solve everything, and they are all interconnected. I loved this concept, and the first half of the book was really very good, and it flowed like anything. I enjoyed my time. By the time the second half was going, I felt like it was dragging a little bit. I could care less to know what the actual murder what the murder was did for, and it was off-putting at time for the second half, but the first half was good. But I do have the other three books in the series, so I'm convincing myself that I really like this book, and I have to read the other three. So let's hope that the other three books are way better than this one. Keeping my fingers crossed. So let's hope that the other three books are good. This was a pretty good read too. It was very easy to read. I would recommend this for a beginner to read it, and I think they would love the characters, they would love the plot twist and everything, and it is a pretty good read for a beginner. The next book is I had high hopes for, because it is from one of my very favorite author, Taylor Jenkins Reid, and the book is Carrie Sotto is Back. I gave it 1 star. Don't get me wrong, it's purely my fault, because this book entirely focuses on tennis, sports, and that world. I'm not a sports girly. I seldom follow sports. That is the only reason I did not enjoy this book. And I was expecting that besides the sports part, there would be much of drama in her personal life, but there was none or very little, which did not engage me, and I did not enjoy this book on a personal level. The writing is really good, just like any other Taylor Jenkins Reid books. But just because I'm not a sports girly, just because I don't understand sports or tennis or anything, this was not enjoyable for me. That is all I want to say about this. But you are interested in sports and tennis and such, I think you will love this book. So highly recommend you to check this out. So we have come to the conclusion of all the adult books that I read in this 3 months, and we have two classics to talk about. Both of them are from my very favorite authors of all time. When I say that my very favorite author, I think you might have already guessed it. Yes, that is once again LM Montgomery. And the book I'm talking about is Blue Castle. And it is an adult romance book, and it follows Valancy. And she one day finds out that her heart is going to stop in an year, and she has only got 1 year. Since 26 years of her years, she has never disobeyed her parents or the societal rules or anything. Now that she has only 1 year to live, she breaks loose of everything, and story takes off from there. And it was really cozy, beautiful. I loved my every minute of it. It has a cottage that is in the seaside. That's kind of my dream home, to have a cottage in the seaside. It's really good. I felt like home while reading this book. That's how I can express it. So it's fairly short for a classic, and I think if you want to check out any of the Montgomery's work but you're intimidated by any of the book size, do check out Blue Castle. And the last book that I want to talk to you about is from another of my very favorite classic writer, who is Daphne du Maurier. And this particular book is a collection of short stories, and it's called The Birds and the Other Stories. And once again, it is in that particular Virago modern classic edition that I'm collecting from this author. And this story, The Birds, was made into a feature film in 1950s, I think, by Alfred Hitchcock. And that was the reason I was interested in reading this book. And vice versa, I wanted to watch the movie because I read this story. The story itself is 40 pages, The Birds. It's really good, it's airy, and the entire collection has suspenseful, airy, and unsettling kind of stories. It's not a regular book. This screams fall and Halloween style of writing. So I felt like it was really meant to be read during September and October. And I think this is very easy to digest because every story is of 30 to 40 pages. I love the other stories too. They are all equally unsettling and airy. It is really good. If you want to check out Daphne du Maurier's work, I highly recommend you to check out her short stories too. But you should read Rebecca before you judge her. But you can start reading her short story collections, and I highly recommend you to check this one out. So that is pretty much it, guys. These are all the books that I read from January to March. And what are the books that you read so far this year, and what are the books that you liked and you did not like? And is there any book that you want to check out from my list, or you have already read some of it? Do let me know all those things in the comments. I would love to know. I would love to chat with you guys. It makes my day, it makes my week, it makes my life even to chat with you and everything. And until I see you again in a very next video with a bookish content, this is Sushmita signing off. Keep reading. Bye bye.